Star Wars The Old Republic Top 5 Best Controversial Things in Fallen Empire and Patch 4.0. Greetings from Bulgaria, I'm VULKK. Welcome to the most unusual and weird list you will ever see. I've put together 5 very interesting and hot, yes with an H, topics, and have ordered them from 5 to 1 according to nothing else but my personal interest and involvement in them. The weird things begin with the title itself. You like it? This list contains things that are at the same time amazing as innovations and added features to the game, and also a great reason for arguing, disappointment and trolling. Let's begin and you'll see what I mean. Number 5. Real new story with meaningful choices. Even by just mentioning this, I already hear approval of half of my audience and total disagreement from the rest. Remember, that's my goal. Story is no content. MMO needs more than just story to keep us paying this damn monthly subscription. Power, screw you, I'm unsubbing. I started on the wrong foot, did I? Of course I'm not unsubbing. The video is supposed to show the light side of things and emphasize on them. It should try to beat the negativity that stirs even in my own chest when I have to replay EV over and over again for new endgame gear 4 years later. Now I went into another topic of the same list and I'll come back to that later on. The positive side to new real story is just that. It's new, it's entertaining, fresh and different. The presentation angle has changed, the cinematic cutscenes are not from 2008 anymore, and even though the game's engine still coughs blood, even in solo play at times, the visuals have improved dramatically. Speaking of drama, and here comes a mini spoiler, how about getting stabbed from the back all the way through the belly and surviving? Can you ask for bigger drama than this? Actually, it could be more closer to a soap opera than a drama, but who cares? We have new and old events that also could count as story if you are a good role player and you're capable of adopting this style of gameplay. I'm not, so I couldn't do it properly. To me, the returning events, most of them being monthly now, are just a chance to farm whatever I need in terms of tokens, reputation, gear, alliance and more. Money as well. Luckily for me, I've maxed out my reputation with all of these long ago, so I don't really need to farm anymore, and I'm emphasizing on the farm. Regarding these meaningful choices now, we haven't really seen any of the promised long-term ones, but from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, I already learned that long-term may really mean a long time before we see the consequences to our choices and decisions. So let's give more time to BioWare and see what they will surprise us with in the future chapters. Remember, there is not just Season 1, but a whole another one after it already planned before the Fallen Empire story cycle is complete. That's 2 full seasons with story. Number 4. Revamped Endgame group content. Okay, I lost you here, didn't I? Wait, come back. We all know there is a positive side to the revamped content. I myself saw it already in these, how many? 3 months since Fallen Empire launched. In our small guild, currently we have a team of 8 raiders. 4 of them have never done half of the old operations in hard mode and nightmare. It was on one side a pleasure helping and entertaining and explaining the tactics to 2, 3, 4-year-old content, while on the other side it was annoying knowing that nothing is different inside the ops except for the level of the mobs, and yet we cannot just enter and clear it in 40-ish minutes. Tactics needed to be explained to newcomers, and that's of course not just in my guild, it's in every guild, and in pugs that's a daily routine, even now 3 months after release, and it will always be like that as new players keep rolling in. I have to admit that the time to feel like a Star Wars The Old Republic veteran has finally come. It still feels like yesterday when I was spamming F5 on my keyboard waiting for the newly launched SWTOR.com to let me register and log in. Back in October 2008, I somehow still find entertainment playing De Nova, Dread Fortress, Dread Palace, TFB, even Karaga. Oh, that helmet. How rare and unique was that bell hat in 2011. Number 3. Improvements to UI and graphics. I keep complaining and raging at the buggy and glitchy SWTOR excuse of an engine. What the hell? Why is it here and As a number 3 at that? Seriously? Am I trolling myself already? No. I have enough friendly trolls to do that for me during the live shows, so let's see what exactly I mean by this. The small but incredibly needed and long time asked for user interface changes and improvements are without a doubt one of the best things that came with Fallen Empire. I made a whole dedicated video to show and explain what the changes exactly are for the UI in 4.0, so I won't bore you with the details here. Let me just mention the fact that we can now save and export our keyboard bindings. Finally, BioWare, thank you. On the graphics update, here I suppose some of you thought that I actually mean FPS improvements. No, of course not. In fact, this would be the bad and so-called controversial part of this topic. The FPS, especially in PvP war zones and 16-man operations, seems to be going from bad to worse. And for some gamers, from barely playable to quoting "bye bye SWTOR, I cannot look at this slideshow any longer." Number 2. The subscription-based chapter per month content. The negativities. BioWare is trying to seduce us with chapter-based monthly story content to keep us actively paying. The money income is generally nice, and it is known that the better funding a game development receives, the better quality and quantity of the end product is delivered to the players. Well, Star Wars The Old Republic has been on big profits since the Cartel Store and free-to-play went live back in 2012. It hasn't always shown constant rising metrics, but it's profitable and provides BioWare and EA with great income on regular basis. Let's be honest, free-to-play saved our game and it allowed it to live on. Now, the good side of having to pay each month for 40 to 60-ish minutes of story content. No guys, it's not all and only the new chapter. BioWare may have a small team and struggle with regular content update cycles, but I do believe they want to do, and they do, whatever they can with the resources available to them. It's at the same time just $15, but it's also a full $15 for fuck's sake. The bright side is that subscription allows players to fully benefit from the game, giving the chance to the so-called totally casual players who dipped into Endgame PvE and PvP a couple times per week until recently. It now gives them a chance for more serious try. The per server economy is supposed to flourish when GTN is filled with more competition from all the new and old crafters returning with a subscription now. Limiting crafting as a free-to-play and preferred status almost completely eliminates the possibility for these types of players to be competitive on the trading network. We're also receiving some extra sub-rewards, as well as that weird and almost useless early access to new chapters. I seriously don't understand the 2 days early access, but it is a marketing trick, and every time something is advertised as an early access, it's more or less successful. Slowly, but I hope not too slow, we arrive at the number 1, my winner. Did you forget? All of these 5 topics I've selected are absolutely totally personal and very biased according to my taste, opinion and preferences. They do not represent the community's visions at all, so don't be so surprised when you see and hear my winner. Number 1. Changes to Sentinel and Marauder. Well, what do you expect of me? Oh wait, you might be a viewer or a reader who had never before seen my content. In this case, let me tell you this little story. I am a Sentinel Marauder player since before day 1 and a melee DPS player since forever really. In Star Wars Galaxies and Lord of the Rings Online long before Star Wars The Old Republic. For far too long my favorite class was neglected. 1, because the content was for the most part really melee unfriendly. 2, because the ability priorities and not one but all 3 specs were more or less messed up and to some extent really unfriendly for various boss encounters and even PvP. Watchman Annihilation in 3.0, really? I mean, nothing is impossible, but not everybody is willing to challenge themselves and be competitive with a weak PvP spec, and that's exactly what Watchman was in 3.0. I have tested it thoroughly myself and I can say it is fun depending on the group setup, but let's not go into more details about this topic now because we can start talking about PvP and never end. After 4.0, some of the much needed changes made to Watchman Annihilation and Combat Carnage refreshed up the specs to the point where they are not just absolutely useful and powerful, but also a lot more fun to play. Spreading dots like a mad monkey is a lot more entertaining now compared to Shadow of Revan 3.0. Bursting enemy down inside a 3-second precision or gore feels somehow more stronger, simpler and yet very satisfying. Well, to me Concentration Fury, the third spec, still remains broken as it fails to find its spot among the other two specs. Its long build-up phase and very weird AoE capabilities are no match to the screaming terror effect Combat Carnage is capable of. The single target rotation for Fury is again longer than it needed and also falls under the parses of both other specs on the dummy. Why did I pick this as my number 1? First, let me tell you that it was obvious to me this needed to be among the top 5, but it holds the first position because of the single fact that I keep playing this class as my main. I resisted the temptation of switching over when Sentinel and Marauder were in their darkest ages after patch 3.0 hit. That's all. I hope you have enjoyed my presentation. It's easy to make a top 5 about popular topics and praise or curse them. I wanted to approach this forum from a different point of view, and whether I succeeded, that's up for you to tell me. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.